Hello, everyone. Um, I'm pretty sure this is not going to touch many people, but if people do search it up, there are many things that I see wrong, but I also see a lot of right. So this is mostly for towards like newer players trying to find their roles in Smite. So this is more towards players who are just getting into Conquest, like they just got off the arena grind, like oh I know how to play this game. Yeah. Okay, whatever. So, this is going to be a multiple series guide where I just kind of run through gods in the solo lane. And potentially, maybe later, I'll move on to other lanes, but for now, I'm just going to focus on that one specific role. So, if you're looking this up, thank you. Uh, and if you find my video, hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, see what I can do better. I am a little bit new to this, so yeah. So I don't know if I'm gonna go alphabetically, but we are gonna start with the warrior section in the solo lane. So we're gonna go. So each episode I plan on doing is gonna be god based. So it's all gonna focus on one god, and we'll go from there. So what you will expect from this guide is your pathing, your what your builds are gonna look like, what abilities to level up, and team fighting potential. That's our main thing. Solo lane, you don't really need that much communications. My playstyle personally, I like to play very aggressive and all that. So yeah. So we're gonna start off with our first god. We're gonna be going with Achilles. Achilles is a relatively good god, but not that hard to pick up and relatively easy to master if you know what you're doing. So we'll start off with his passive. So Achilles' passive is allows you to kind of change forms um, in the fountain. So you can either be tankier or you can be faster with a little bit more power.
Time to get in there and mix it up. More armor means I can fight longer. I need to be more agile against these enemies. Our foes' weapons call for some armor.
Power. It does kind of matter in the early game what you choose. So this usually ends up with like matchups and preference really. So Achilles is kind of early game. Like so, for example, if you're going against Colin, whose early game is like really hard to deal with, um, or Hercules, King Arthur, or gods that have just huge early game potential over Achilles, you might consider going the defensive route that gives you health bonus and protections. But if you are going against a squishier solo laner, you usually win the matchup. So, for example, you're going against Amaterasu. Her early game is pretty weak, and you want to be a little bit more aggressive. You can go with the movement speed bonus and physical power option, and usually that just means he goes naked. So a little strip cheese for all you like 0.1% female gamers. Okay, okay, we'll move on to his one. His shield, stun, and also incredibly huge ass fucking ability. Mind my language, but like, no, this is not. This ability is kind of rude, but it's not that bad, honestly. But it's his main kit, I guess you can say, because it stuns and it just does a decent amount of damage. It's kind of crazy. Uh,
Dodge this!
His 2, which is like his kind of rope that ties into everything. So with this, you want to kind of, how do I say this? So this is like kind of your ability that ties in everything in. So it's your heal, it gives you more power, and it gives you protections and CC reduction, which is insane in Soul Land, personally, in my opinion. The heal is nice. It's just a commodity at this point. It doesn't really do much. But what you really want to look at is the physical power it gives you and the protections, as well as the CC reduction. It just gives you a flat 20%, which is basically a spirit rope. It's pretty insane, honestly. And it gives you 20% protections. That's a lot for just an ability, and it gives you 10% physical power at max rank, and it's such a good ability. Probably his best ability, honestly, in terms of just utility and what it gives him.
Prepare yourself!
So you definitely want to pick this up when you're leveling. His 3, his combat dodge is just a dodge. It's also really good for chasing, escaping, but you do have to land your first dodge. So what I mean by that is, I'll probably have something show up on the screen. Screen. So basically, your dodge, you'll have a first single dodge. Then you have a kind of an attack that shows up, and you can throw that attack out after a few seconds. And if you land the attack, you gain your cooldown is reduced, and you can use it again. And so basically, that's why I say this is probably a really good escape. It does decent damage. It's chase too. So yeah, move on to his ultimate. His ultimate isn't really that important, honestly. In my opinion, it's kind of just there. It's an execution. It's also good for escaping in case you're like, oh shit, I gotta get out of there, right? So it gets you pretty far. You become CC immune, and you execute when the enemies are at 30%.
Prepare yourself! You are finished! Yippee-ki-yay!
Watch your back.
It is over!
Conjures up a double kill!
Challenge me! Dodge this! You are finished!
Upping into a triple kill!
Far enough.
Watch yourself!
That was some serious domination!
It is over!
Summons up a quadra kill!
You are finished!
That's not even a hair to swing for.
Let
me show you how it's done.
It's only 30%. It's a flat 30%, and also it's also a lot harder to hit because enemies can just juke out of it if they are predicted. It's also really slow on the wind up as well, so most people use it as an escape rather than just hold on to it like, oh, I need this. It's not important. Don't hold on to it if you really need to leave or something like that. So another thing with it is so if you do manage to execute someone with it, you can execute again another 4 times as long as you keep executing enemies. But as you do so, you will take 10% more damage as you kill the gods, which you do need to keep in mind. It does make you a lot squishier, a lot more than some people think, and it'll catch them off guard. So if you do plan on doing that, which most people probably will, honestly, just keep that in mind. 10% does, chunk when you're really not expecting it. Okay, and now we can go on to the builds. With Achilles, you can pretty much go anything. So for starters, you really want to get Bluestone. That's a good starter for an aggressive start. If you want to go for more of defensively, or you just want to poke or burst, you can go Warrior's Axe. Warrior Axe is pretty nice. Honestly, for that just chunk of burst for 25 in the early game, that's really nice. I don't really recommend getting Death Toll. He's not basic attack based, kind of shit. Same with Mannequins. Tainted Steel is very situational. It's good, but very situational. So let's say you're going against Chang'e and like you really want like, oh, I really don't want to deal with the healing or whatever, so you can go Tainted Steel. It's there. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is there. In terms of other items, my playstyle, I usually always rush boots. That's just the way I play. So that we're gonna base the builds off of that. You have really, you have honestly like 2 to 3 boots options. You can, number one, you obviously want to pick up Warrior Tabby if you are like winning lane, you're being aggressive. Um, you really got him in the ropes, you know. But it's also really nice for power scaling as well. But if you are like, you know, a little bit behind or you're losing lane, you can go with Reinforced Greaves. Reinforced Greaves is just a tank. It's just tank boots. It's nice. Gives you some cooldown. Sorry, not cooldown reduction. Crowd control, movement speed, health, and it gives you that stacks of protections when you get hit. But keep in mind, this is not a power item, as it only gives you 10 power, so it's really not that good. And if you, I don't really recommend it, but you can go Talaria boots. Just like, you know, if you want to move faster, or like you're going against gods, or like you have trouble chasing, which you really shouldn't on Achilles, but you can. It is there. Ninja Tabby, you never want to get. It's useless on Achilles, personally. So, Warrior Tabby, pretty much a must-have. Next, you can go multiple options here. So we're gonna go 2 routes here. We're gonna go for so usually you'll go against like guardians or mages at times in the solo lane because you know why not. So when that happens, so we're just gonna focus on the physical, and then after that we'll go on to a magical matchup. So let's say you're going against a physical matchup like King Arthur or something like that, and let's say you're winning the lane, you're aggressive, you got a kill on him, and he's like, okay, cool, I'm ahead, I got farm. What do I build next after after boots? Well, you have 2 to 3. You have a couple of good options. I wouldn't say 2 to 3. You have a couple of good options. One, you can go for Mystical Mail. It's very aggressive, but it can also give you that protection. So, like, let's say you just barely managed to kill him, and you're like, "Oh, Jesus Christ! I don't want to go through that again. If I like want to get even more ahead, I'd snowball and all that." Mystical Command is a good option. It gives you defense, health, gives you that aura that deals damage, and it's just overall a good item for when you're ahead. Another good option is I recommend Gladiator Shield. Reason why is because it just goes well with Bluestone, because of just the extra damage they take from your just what you have. Honestly, Bluestone, and then you're gonna be handing into his passive when you build defense. It's great. Or you can go into a Shifter Shield. Shifter Shield is really interesting. Recently got a nerf, but honestly, it's still really good. And gives you 35 power. It's really nice. And 25 protections. And it's just overall good. And when you get below that 75% health, you gain plus 40 flat protection. That's just, that's great. Why would anyone suffer for less? Yeah? Okay. And that's pretty much it. Honestly, you can also go into Breastplate of Valor if you're having cooldown issues. It's there. Or if you really just want to be tanky and sustaining, you can go Stone Gaia. If you have any mana issues, again, you can go into Blackthorn Hammer. Or you can go into Sledge. Not a lot of people building Sledge anymore. At least that's what I see in Conquest. But it's still a good item, honestly. It gives you some protections, gives you power, health, mana, and CC reduction. It's just a good, solid item. Blackthorn is really for just like having mana issues or if you're behind and all that. So yeah, that's a pretty good second item. Your third item, you really don't want to focus on physical protections at this point. At this point, you either want to go for like a bruiser item, or you can go into some sustain or a magical item. So magic protection, you definitely want to have at least 1 to 2 in your build, or you can just go into like a hybridy item. It's up to you personally. But when you are ahead and you win lane, you are gonna start ganking. You want to start rotating. And when you do start rotating, you're gonna run into the magicals. And so when you go up to them, you fight them, like, oh shit, they deal a butt ton of damage to me. That's because you only have physical defense and maybe power. I don't know. So yeah, if you want to do that, which you probably should, you can go into a Genji guard. Genji guard gives you some health, a lot of magic protection, and just cooldown overall. It's a very solid item. Or if you want to be a little bit aggressive and your team's there with you at all times, you can go Oni guard. Oni hunters. Oni hunters is really good. A lot of people don't build it. At least the solo landers I see now, a lot of people build it. It gives you that mitigations for when you're surrounded. It gives you some health, but ton of magic protections. This is overall it's really good. You can also go pestilence. This is just anti-heal. It's there. I don't recommend a runic shield, at least not right in this meta. For at least when you're going against physical matchups in the solo lane. We'll talk about this later though. But you can also, if you don't want to fully focus on some magical items, you can go hybrid. Of course, you can go hide the urchin if you're killing people and your team's killing people. It's very nice if you go third item. And you can stack it up early, get that max hide the urchin. Very nice. You can also go Gladiator Shield. A lot of people, I personally never really built this myself, but it is very good because it actually increases healing. This also goes to yourself as well. So your tool gets increased healing, which is just nice, and also overall stats and power. It's just a good item. Mantle of Discord, we all know Mantle of Discord. It's just a good item. Gives you protections and gives you that CC immunity when you're in trouble. It's very nice, very nice. Now at this point you're wondering, okay, I have protections, I'm ahead, what now? Do I just keep building protections? No. Well, I mean, maybe. It depends. So it really depends on your skill of seeing how your team's doing and how you're doing overall. So if your team's behind but you're ahead, you want to actually go into hybrid items. So you want to less focus on defense and more on offense. So beat stick, Brawler's beat stick is a must-have, must have, because with this overall meta change, everybody's building lifesteal, everybody's building healing characters, Sylvanas. Oh, it's a mess. So beat stick is definitely a must-have when you're doing this. Yolen's Wrath got a buff recently, but it's not insane. Honestly, it's just there. It's okay. I don't recommend it. You can have better options like Shield or something. You can also, if you want, but this is like a very late game item transitioning. You can sell your Gladiator Shield for a Heartseeker when you have full build, just for that extra power and dealing with those tanky supports or something like that, and you just deal extra damage overall. And next, you can go into a Void Shield. Void Shield's just nice, rips protection. Well, I would say rips protection, but it reduces their protections. It's a good hybrid item and all that. And yeah, so really, let me just make a quick build right here of what I would build mostly for solo lane. This of course, won't be in order. This is kind of just like what I would do. And yeah, so I leave this last spot open because that's usually where you have your starter item at. And so what you can do for when you're selling your starter item, because you don't want to hold on to your starter item for very long, just because you can, there's better items out there. Personally, you can really just do whatever you want. So to replace those two items, like I said, you can go for a Heart Seeker, or you can go, if you're having a little bit of trouble, you can go Pridwin for that shield, and a trying to find it real quick. This is good for Spectral Armor. Is just good because it reduces crit damage, and it recently got buffed, so it's pretty good, honestly. Winged Blade for the slows, obviously, and so yeah. So this is pretty much what your build's gonna be looking like. This will obviously vary from time to time. Don't always stick to one build path because because Solo Lane is very much counterplay in terms of builds. You want to counter build the enemy solo laner. So let's say the solo laner is Guan Yu and he's building super tanky. You want to kind of obviously go as well as tanky, but you also want to find some ways to kill him, which is kind of hard in the solo lane once you get past level 10, because that's when everybody starts hitting their mid game power spikes, tankiness. It's just there's pretty much no way you're killing Guan Yu unless you're just super ahead and the Guan Yu knows what he's doing. So, in that case, you kind of just poke, clear wave, and you looking for team fights. At this point, when you're level, say, 13 to 15, you're going to start ganking a lot more. But anything below that, usually you're just staying in lane, farming. You just farm, farm, farm. Solo lane, you don't really care about anything else. You're in your own world, and that's pretty much how the solo lane works. And so, in terms of consumables now, so we're gonna talk about what you actually do in game. So in game, let's say I go into a Warrior's Axe. I can go into a Tier 2 boots. Or you can go Tier 1 hammer. Where is the thing? There we go. Go Tier 1 hammer for that extra power. Not a lot, but it helps. You have some leftover cash. You can either save it, but I don't recommend it. So usually at this point you only have enough for 2 to 3 healing pots, as well as 2 multi-pots. You build this is your sustain, keep you alive, especially in the early game poke where everybody's like, oh yeah, damage, I gotta outpoke them. Because really, it's all about who wins the early game that snowballs and potentially take that snowball and just decimate your whole team. That's just the scariest thing you can possibly just see. So Achilles, you have the early game to mid game advantage usually most of the time in most of these matchups. So as long as you keep that, you'll be fine in the solo lane. So yeah, so this is kind of like a starter that you could go for a more aggressive start. Warrior's Axe, Tier 1, Mace, Brawler's be sick, 2 pots, 2 healing, 2 multi. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the physical matchups. Now, on to the magical matchups. Magical matchups, you really have to predict like who you're going against. So this is mostly for just casual base. So if you see like you're going against a mage, let's go easier. Let's say Ymir. Ymir is a huge early game god that you don't want to really you can't really fight Ymir unless you outplay him severely. But Ymir just beats Achilles in the early game outright, especially he's building more sustaining based. So when you go against Ymir, you can either go into Bluestone, just like try and out clear him in wave, or you can go into Warrior's Axe again because it still gives you that protections, as well as the kind of just burst damage from its passive. This is very good, so you can build that. Next, depending on how bad the Ymir is beating you, or if he's not even touching you. So again, if he's not touching you and like you're evenly leveled, you can buy boots, go into, and this is where it deviates. So here's your other options now. Other options you usually go into like a Gladiator Shield, but you're going to get some magical, so that's just not really optional at this point. So you can go into a Runic Shield. Runic Shield is very good in the early game. It gives you it decreases their magical power. And for Ymir, with his passive that deals extra damage to you, it's really helpful. It keeps you alive. Also, that extra power is very nice, and health keeps you alive. Ansile against Ymir, it's like, it's okay. If you're really having that much trouble, you can build it. But it is kind of expensive. Well, actually, I wouldn't say kind of expensive. These two are the same cost. But, like, it's up to you. These two are your personal choices. I recommend going Runic Shield just for the passive. Very nice. You can also go Genji's Guard for the cooldown. And yeah, so your third item, this pretty much is where like both the builds kind of go similar. You can go into a Stone of Gaia for that sustain. You can go into extra magical defense if you're getting your ass kicked. Trust me, a lot of people get their ass kicked by Ymir. Then you want to go into some physical defense. Shifter Shield, I recommend. Void Shield. Reason why I don't recommend Gladiator Shield anymore is because it's kind of like useless after a certain point in the game, and building a third item is like, I kind of don't need it, right? So you can get something better for like a Void Shield or a Shifter Shield for cheaper. And again, if you are behind, Blackthorn. And it's just a good item. Gives you some health, power, mana, and that mana sustain that this passive is very, very nice. Would recommend. And after that, same thing as always. You go into hybrid items. You want to build Mantle, Hide, Bubble if you're really having that much trouble. Oni Guard. Yeah. That's pretty much it in terms of builds. Now we move on to the ability leveling. You want to max your 1 first. So level your 1 up. So beginning of the game, you get your 1. Hands down, this is your best ability for clearing. It also stuns. Just this is so much damage. And so it usually, now this start, I'll probably have some routing up now. So now solo laners, you start with the jungler and the speed camp, which is a kind of yellow thing. I'll show up now. With this, you go into Harpies, both Harpies, you do both of them, and then you go to the blue. Usually you hit level 2. When you do, you get your 3, which is your combat dash, which will give you more damage, more clearing, and just overall it gives you an escape. Then you want to level your 1 again, and then your 2, just so you can get your healing. Ult, rinse and repeat. So level up your 1, get your, now this is where deviations happen. So you can either get your 2 for more sustain, or you can get your 3 just for more damage and chase. Personally, I go 2 just because I like to heal. Then you max your 1, level up whatever you picked second, and then 3. You never level your ult until the very last 5 levels, or 4 levels, sorry, because it doesn't really do much other than skill damage, and it's just there for an execute. Your main 3 abilities, that's what you want to focus on. your ult is not what you want to focus on for Achilles. And yeah, that's how you level. So that's pretty much it for Achilles. He's a really good early game god. A little bit hard to pick up for some, just learning how his mechanics work and overall. Um, but yeah, hopefully I can do a follow-up video where I do a game in Conquest with Achilles, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about, and hopefully when that happens, you guys can get a little more understanding on how to play Achilles and so on. Alright, that's all from me. Thanks for watching.